With Doggy having very slow progress on Grief recently, a question might come to mind. When is Grief actually getting verified? Let's discuss the possibilities of when we'll see Grief verified, and at the end of the video, I'll make my prediction as to when Doggy will actually pull through, and that prediction is probably not what you'd think. Comment your prediction as well. So you've probably noticed that Doggy has been making very slow progress, if not none at all, but why is that? As mentioned by Doggy himself, Grief is incredibly hard to play for him mentally, and it is especially difficult to stay through a 2-hour session. With that said, this is probably the main reason as to why Doggy has been struggling so hard to make any progress recently. Another reason that could be actively impacting Doggy's progression on Grief is that his consistency on the level is pretty much random, as we've seen him have streams where he gets to the second drop of the level 6 times, but there are also days where he can barely make it to 40%. Let's take a look at an example of both. Stream 232 was one of the best Grief streams ever, with Doggy getting to Grafer's part at 65% 6 times in the 3 hours of him playing. But Stream 265 was the opposite of that. In this recent stream, Doggy's best run throughout the almost 2 hours of playing was only 49%. The very inconsistent consistency, along with Grief being incredibly hard mentally, are not the only things in Doggy's way of verifying the level. You see, we've seen Doggy get to Grenade of Tacos part at 75% multiple times since he got his best run of 80% 9 months ago, but he has failed to improve that best every single time. That brings us to the next issue. Controlling your nerves at the end of a 3-minute long level that is the hardest level ever attempted to get verified is pretty much impossible. Not to mention that during all of this, there are thousands of people watching Doggy play at that very moment where his nerves are at an all-time high already. At that point, controlling your body to a point where you can perform frame-perfect clicks at an insane speed is not humanly possible unless you rely on getting insanely lucky, which also isn't sustainable. Now, having all of that said, when is it reasonable to believe that Doggy will verify Grief? Well, in my opinion, it will probably happen well into 2026, maybe in sometime in late April or May to be more specific. I really don't believe that Doggy will ever drop this level, but what I do think might happen is him considerably nerfing the level to a point where it's either barely top 1 or maybe top 5 difficulty. But to be fair, Doggy has said that he would never do that.